Hey there, Josh here, and welcome to a short-ish hobbyist novitiate video. This time we're doing Legions Investigatus, a brief look at the lore and rules for an individual unit from Legions Imperialis. Grab a hot drink and a biscuit and let's dig in. I'm super excited this time because for the first time I get to talk about something other than my beloved solo auxiliar. I get to talk about a big, stompy gun battery on legs. That's right, it's time for the glorious Warhound Titan. Despite towering over the rest of your army like a building that could step on you, the Warhound is actually the smallest class of Titan. It uses its size and more nimble design to operate as a scout for its bigger siblings. Although more lightly armoured than the other Titans, the Warhound still has 2 void shield generators, making it a tough challenge for even the strongest of tanks to leave a scratch. There are a wide range of weapons you might see on a Warhound, allowing them to be kitted out for everything from tearing through infantry to taking on Titans even larger than themselves. On the tabletop, a Warhound Titan comes on its own for 330 points, with additional Titans being available as an upgrade up to a total of 3 for 970 points. Each Warhound gets 7 inches of movement, a 2-up save, and has +10 to fight rolls. It also has a frankly chunky 4 wounds. In addition, the Warhound has 2 void shields that must be taken down before the Warhound can be damaged. Hits can only be allocated to void shields if they have an AP value of 1 or better. During the end phase, the Titan's controlling player, hopefully you, gets to roll a d6 for each missing void shield, and on a 4-up, the shield comes back online. Finally, the Warhound Titan has the Agile special rule, allowing them to make 2 turns per movement phase up to 90 degrees each. The Warhound Titan can pick any 2 weapon options from a frankly staggering list of options, far too many for me to bore you by going through the stats of each. Instead, I'll show the numbers on screen and give a super quick rundown of the pros of each. The Inferno gun rolls to hit everything within the Firestorm template and has 2 AP against infantry and cavalry. Because of the Shield Bane trait, it can still damage void shields. A fantastic weapon for targeting large blobs of enemy infantry, and good in a pinch against enemy Titans too. The Vulcan Mega Bolter scores double hits on 6s, which on 10 hit rolls already can lead to some big damage output. Shield Bane again, so while definitely geared for infantry up to walkers, it can take out a Titan's void shields, potentially in a single phase. The Turbo Laser Destructor is really long range and has the accurate trait, letting you reroll misses. With 3 AP too, it's a very reliable damage dealer against single targets. The Plasma Blast Gun is a medium range weapon that hits on 3s, so another reliable source of damage against tough enemies closer up. The Graviton Eradicator, aside from sounding way too cool, gets more likely to hit the tougher the target's save is. It's a weird rule, but makes it very useful against tough targets. With the Demolisher trait letting it damage structures, it becomes a great tool for bringing buildings down on the infantry garrisoned inside them. The Conversion Beam Dissolutor is another funky one. It gets more and more powerful the further away the enemy is, great for destroying buildings or key enemy units from a long way away. The Ursus Claw lets the Warhound spear a single enemy within 6 inches. If the detachment is scale 3 or larger, the attacker chooses which model the attack hits. In addition, the save and damage are both determined by a roll-off between the attacker and defender, in a way that I can only describe as wacky and very situational. If you want that moment where your Warhound Titan lunges forward and decimates an enemy Titan in a single blow, and are willing to gamble that the right moment arises, this is the weapon for you. This is one of the most needlessly complicated but gloriously thematic weapons in the game. The Natrix Shock Lance is another close range option, bypassing any void shields and halving the movement of any vehicle, super heavy vehicle, knight or titan that it hits, along with reducing their firing capacity to a single weapon for the rest of the round. Writer's note, pair this with the Ursus Claw and get sprinting. The Incisor Pattern Melter Lance is great for wiping vehicles or tougher and buildings at medium range, and has a second profile that is much shorter range, but deals 2 extra unsavable wounds to vehicles through Titans when they fail their first save. The Volkite Eradicator is our first beam weapon of the series, damaging anything in an unbroken path up to 16 inches away, causing a potentially devastating change in board state if your opponent was foolish enough to line up for you. The Warhound Shudder missiles can target enemies it can't see at long range. It's especially deadly against garrisoned infantry, and also has the Quake trait, making any targets it hits slower and worse at shooting for the rest of the round. And finally, the Warhound Swarmer missiles, which get 8 shots, all doubling on 6s with -1 AP against infantry, cavalry and walkers. A great detachment wiper if ever I saw one. If you couldn't tell already, the Warhound Titan is all about getting enemies gone. You can build it in so many ways to deal with whatever you're coming up against. It's quick, incredibly tough when compared to anything that isn't a Titan, and hits like a tornado made up of medium-sized tanks. The Warhound Titan has so many options, some of which are devastatingly practical and others of which are incredibly weird and situational in a really wonderful way. With one of these guys in your army, there's no way you can't have a blast. Pause to allow audience to laugh. That's all for this one. If you want to find out more about other units from Legions Imperialis, subscribe to the channel. We're going to be making lots of these over the next few months, and it helps to know if they're hitting the mark. We also have more longer videos coming out that cover wider Legions Imperialis stuff, so check those out if you're interested. Until next time.